Hello, everyone. Welcome back to FPL Without Borders. We are back with our Game Week 5 video. Everything you need to know for Game Week 5. Spoiler alert, I have activated my wildcard in Game Week 5. So we'll discuss why I did that and the possible chip paths as well. On our thumbnail, we have Erling Haaland, who have scored 50 goals in 49 UCL games, which is the fastest by any player in the Champions League. So we'll basically discuss FPL related key events that happened in the UCL. We'll discuss the chip strategy and the couple of paths that you have that you can take in the first half of the FPL season this year. I'll share my wildcard drafts, and then we also will look at the game week 5 players to target and teams to target. Our Eagles Eye, which are our differential picks for game week 5. The captaincy decision, which I think is kind of straightforward, but not really. So we'll discuss some of the stats there, and then we'll show you our bus teams as well. So
Yeah.
if you're listening here, we would appreciate a like and a subscribe. We're a small channel, and we're targeting 100 subscribers by the end of the season. So would appreciate us like there. Essen, you want to walk us through the UCL news and relevant to FPL?
Yeah, so just to start off, Arsenal and Spurs both kept clean sheets. Spurs, I think, won 1-0 and Arsenal won 2-0. So they're taking their good Premier League form onto the UCL and then hopefully back to the Premier League. Palmer started the match. He scored another, but he was offside. So he looks very sharp. Salah had a man of the match performance. I think he had a goal and assist. And he was very lively. And for a change, he did not score or assisted in the dying minutes of the game. It came very early in the match. So I think he looks very good going forward. Isak and Gakpo both started, but I personally think that Ekitike will start the derby. As it's a tight turnaround, I think they have the early kickoff, so Isak might come off the bench. And then it would be interesting to see who makes way for Isak, either Ekitike or Gakpo. So we'll get some
Yeah.
news maybe later in the on. Haaland and
In the
Doku both
UCL game,
scored. Yeah,
in the UCL game, Isak played 60 minutes. So he was subbed off at 60ish, and then Ekitike came in. So yeah, again, that's one to monitor,
yeah,
and we can't really tell who starts. But I think the very briefly on Liverpool, I think we saw the preferred starting 11 in my opinion. Like start attacking 11, attacking three players in my opinion. Like I think Salah, Gakpo, and Isak would be the preferred three, in my opinion.
yeah. Haaland and Doku both scored. Doku had a very good individual goal, and Haaland obviously cannot stop scoring at the moment. I think one of the main reasons why Arsalan has triggered his wild card. Foden was man of the match. He created 8 chances. He even scored in the league game against United. So I think he's getting back to form. And there were no relevant injuries. There was a minor concern with Palmer, but in today's press conference, Maresca said that he's okay to feature in the Sunday game. So I think we should be looking forward towards no injuries after 3 days of Champions League games.
Perfect. A very quick roundup in 2 minutes. Let's keep moving. So a list of all possible injury doubts or general doubts, FPL relevant. So I'll quickly go through some of them. The most important one that we got to know this week is Robert Sanchez, Chelsea. So Maresca said this: tomorrow Robert will start, um, but like Felipe will start. Will play games in Premier League, UCL, FA Cup, and Carabao Cup. We have so many games. Robert cannot play all of them. If you have Robert Sanchez, I don't think he's a urgent sell, but if you're doing a wild card, um, you definitely won't go with Sanchez. And if you have a transfer to make, um, I think you can move him on. To be honest, there are a lot of good options.
Yeah,
SN is also making a goalkeeper transfer. We'll discuss what his transfer is in the coming slides. Apart from that, Saka is still out. Palmer is back. Marmoush and Sar are out. Wharton, sorry for this. So Wharton is back. And Dye is back. Isak is back. Cunha, um, Cunha will have a late call. Cunha apparently has been
he
telling
has.
pe-
Yeah,
people
but
that
he's
he is
been
fit.
been fit enough to be in the squad.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
will
but
be in the squad for sure. Whether he plays 90 or 60, or if he subbed on
yeah,
later, that we don't know. But he will be back. If not this game, definitely next game. He should be back. So if you're not wildcarding, I think you can potentially hold him unless you want to move him to Palmer or Bruno, whatever. Dalot's still out, which means Dorgu will keep playing on the left side.
makes
Um,
sense.
Mount still out. Aina is still out. Solanke, Fulkrug, Strand Larsen is one of the important ones. Like a lot of people still have them, or he's the best 6.5 million option in strike.
Yeah,
But he is probably out for a long time because he has a tendon injury or something.
he is. Yeah. By the way, Mount is also the same as Cunha. He will be in the squad, but I'm not sure he is really of an FPL interest at the moment.
Facts. True. Okay, good call. All right, SN, I
Yeah.
had a couple of stats to show you and briefly discuss how you interpret this. But so as in all game weeks, we've been doing a retro of the last 4 game weeks to compile all the results that we have and analyze some of the stats. So if you sort the teams by expected goals, Man City are on top. This is not a shock, but the shocker to me is Manchester United being on number two with 8.27 expected goals in the 4 games. So they've scored maybe 4 or 5 goals. They've been creating a lot of XG, but I don't know why this doesn't translate in the number in goals. Like there's so many things happening with United. Obviously, the injuries. There's a management issue going on. Fans are now asking Amorim to leave. Uh, but if you just look at the stats, Man United is creating chances. So if you have Bumo or Bruno or Cunha, I don't think they're an urgent sell at all. I am personally keeping Bruno even on my wild card. Uh, so that's one thing to note. How do you interpret United as and from an FPL point of view?
Yeah, I think overall, I think these are the games where Cunha and Bomo and Bruno, all three were playing together. But once Cunha was out of the picture, I think the XG or the overall cohesiveness started to drop. Ideally, because Amorim is very stubborn about his system, that Sesko cannot start. But if he were to play, for example, 4-2-3-1 maybe, then Sesko, Cunha, Bruno, and Mbomo, all four can start. So maybe the high XG can actually translate into more goals. But obviously, it's a wait and watch. And honestly, I would not transfer in any United assets at the moment. If you have Bruno, you can hold him. Similarly for Mbomo. But the XG has to translate into frequent goals as opposed to
Yeah.
maybe a one-off match. I think they scored three against Burnley. That was highest I think they have so far. But given their mixed bag of fixtures, I think they are in a void at the moment from an FPL perspective. I think there are better mid priced or even attackers that we can target.
Yeah, I think they're not a buy, but I probably think they're still a hold. Uh, unless you have like an urgent
Yeah,
transfer like
not a bad.
Palmer or Salah, you would obviously prioritize over a United asset. Um, Even in the games where Cunha did not play in game week 3 and 4, United still have the best XG in the league, 5 XG by the way. So yeah, um, I don't know what's happening there. Two other things to sort of note are that Arsenal are still number sixth when it comes to XG created, and Liverpool are number ninth. Um, I don't think it's a shocker anymore if you watch Arsenal games. It's a very
Yeah,
contained game. They don't get too many big chances, but the chances they get, they score. So that's what's happening with Arsenal. Saka and Odegaard being injured definitely does probably hurt this. So that's that. And then Liverpool is honestly the most shocker one for me. They they've been scoring goals, but obviously, as you know, very late goals. Some of them have been penalties. They're not defensively as solid as they were last season, but they've still won all games. So I think that's just the quality of the team overall. And if you have such quality players, you do end up scoring goals. But in terms of XG created, they are number ninth in the league, so almost mid-table.
yeah.
In terms of defenses, the in terms of XGC, so expected goals conceded, Newcastle, Arsenal, Liverpool, Bournemouth. These are the top four defenses in terms of expected goals conceded. So um, people on wildcard or people who are looking to make defensive transfers, a lot of them are going for Senesi. He's about to get a price rise again. People Van Dijk, and then from Arsenal, people going Gabriel and Raya. So I think these are obvious ones. Newcastle, I don't think many people are going in that direction. So maybe a Dan Burn or one of their center backs who's nailed might not be the worst shout.
True.
And in terms of relegation teams, if you're looking for a 4.0, I like Sunderland and Leeds are better defensively in terms of this stat than Burnley. So that's one thing to consider if you're looking to buy or switch one. All right, what do we have next?
Okay, so just a bit of some fixtures review. Uh, Obviously, you have the Premier League fixtures: Liverpool facing Everton, Arsenal City is a difficult game. You have Aston Villa facing Sunderland. You have Nottingham Forest facing Burnley, and also because this week that has just gone by, you had your 3 days of UCL fixtures. So next week you probably will have your Europa League fixtures. So Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest, they play the Europa fixtures, and other teams, for example, Liverpool, Arsenal, City, Chelsea, Newcastle, they all have their domestic, I think, Carabao Cup fixtures. So this is just to tell you guys that transfers are very important. Don't make early transfers. It's not a once a week deadline now. You have midweek fixtures, be it European fixtures or domestic fixtures. There will be travel, there will be fatigue. So make sure that you have players that are nailed for minutes, and you have a decent bench cover as well.
And this is the time these midweeks, I would say don't chase price rises, is what I would say, and just wait till the last day for information. We have press conference. We should have press conferences coming up today. So do have a listen to them and see if any of the players you have are injured or whatever. So yeah.
Okay, so we'll just touch upon a few of the fixtures of this week. Liverpool Everton, it's the early kickoff, it's the Merseyside derby. I would suggest to start all Liverpool players, and even if you have the likes of Tarkowski, I think for DefCon purpose, you can start him. Uh, People before Salah's performance in the UCL, a lot were thinking to take him out, be it on a free transfer or a wild card. But I think he showed that despite his poor form, or he is still a very good FPL asset. So maybe he can stay a bit longer, but the likes of maybe Words, you can move him on for maybe Palmer or some other asset to free up some funds, because obviously it's his first season. He hasn't been able to gel. Even the XG that you showed, the Liverpool attack as a whole has not been able to gel properly. So maybe too much dependency might hinder your rank gains. So just one to watch. Similarly, Nottingham Forest versus Burnley, last chance again for your Nottingham. I have two Nottingham Forest assets, so they have at least two fixtures, I think, which are good enough, but they are on a they are on the knife's edge because they have been very underperforming. They just got knocked out of their domestic competition also by Swansea. I think they were leading 2-0 and ended up losing 3-2.
I
So
personally I wouldn't
you
play
can
if
play.
I wouldn't play in my Forest defender if I have a chance to bench them for anyone, honestly.
Yeah.
Like defensively they won't be good. Last season we know Ange defensively their assets aren't really ones to hold.
Yeah, even yeah, I understand. But you have it and you don't have any other free transfer, so might as just maybe use them up for a DefCon, not for a clean sheet, maybe. But
Yeah.
yeah, Man United with Chelsea, it can be a very open game, or it can be a very boring stalemate as it has been in the recent past. So you can play all your assets if you have United attackers, defenders, Chelsea attackers, Chelsea defenders. Play all of them and just hope that the outcome is in your favor. Aston Villa, Sunderland again. Aston Villa has been a very difficult side to play against. difficult team to tackle in this FPL. They had the preseason form, they had the fixtures, but they has not hit the ground running at all. I think they scored their first goal in the cup fixture, but they ultimately lost out on penalties. So if
to
you have
Brentford.
them, you can play them, and you can is gradually start to move away from their assets. Like if you have Rogers, you can play, then move him on for maybe Semenyo. Watkins can be a cash cow for the likes of Gyökeres or Haaland if you're looking to move him on also.
Yeah,
And lastly, Arsenal City has been a very high scoring game. I think there was 5-0 last season. There was a 2-2 also. So you can start your attackers. You have Haaland, go for him. I would not personally captain him. Maybe we can discuss that later. And you have your defenders. Maybe you can go for the DefCon. Similar logic versus Liverpool, sorry. So you can start those against City also. So it can be a very good game or it can be a very tactical battle with a low scoring draw or a nil-nil draw.
yep. For Liverpool versus Everton, I do believe that Isak will start, and but he might not play 90. That's just my hunch. But again, you never know. Um, all right. Moving on to game week 5 projected goals and clean sheet odds by Solio Analytics. Um, One thing to note is not a lot of teams, apart from Liverpool, nobody is expected to score more than 2 goals. Hence, everybody has been mentioning that there's not really a lot of point in making attacking transfers because you don't have too many good options this week specifically. That's what the market odds says. So Liverpool expected to score two. The second best is Arsenal 1.6 goals against City, which I personally don't like. I don't think it will be this kind of a score line. But again, these are what the market odds suggest. Chelsea and United is the third best fixture in terms of uh, projected goals. So Chelsea expected to score 1.61. I do think with the fact that Manchester United midfield is almost non-existent, Palmer might have an open field as Foden did. He had so much space to run in behind. So I think Palmer, if I had Palmer, I might have captained him. I will say as much as that. So yeah, these are the three main fixtures to target. Defensively as well, apart from Liverpool, nobody is really expected to hold a clean sheet. Aston Villa, maybe I don't believe in their defense at the moment. Wolves and Leeds. Leeds have been decent defensively, to be honest, and Wolves haven't created much. So this could be a stalemate. Uh, Anything else that pops out to you, Isan, from this chart?
No, I think fixtures wise, this is not your typical easy uh, game week. You know, a lot of the teams you have are playing against each other. So just back the assets that have the better market odds, like Chelsea asset, Liverpool asset, etc., and just hope that the points are in your favor.
Yeah. A lot of people have some benching decisions to make as well. For example, people are considering whether to play a Forest defender or a Burnley defender over Rinders, for example. Um, so in that scenario, what would you recommend?
I think the now with DefCon, the ceiling for points for defenders has increased a bit because earlier if you had a center back and the clean sheet would be gone, and they are not usually like a scoring center back, then you would probably just have 1 or 2 points. But now with DefCon, I think it is a more difficult decision. And honestly, it's a 50-50 again because Reinders played, I think he played the City game against United, then he played the City game midweek. So I'm not really sure about his minutes as opposed to maybe playing the likes of a Nottingham Forest defender or a Burnley defender. So you can take that risk, but it would just be down to your risk appetite and overall team structure. Are you
Yeah.
comfortable benching a Nottingham Forest defender? If you have capital, or you just want to look out for?
Yeah. Like I would say Reinders has been unlucky not to get more chances.
Yeah.
It felt like initially it was just a fad. People saw his first game, he scored, and people got him in, and then they started selling him because he was. They were like, "Oh, nothing's happening." He is taking good chances. He's in good positions. He will. am pretty confident he will come in good. Let's move ahead to chip planning. One of the talking points from this point onwards, we have sufficient amount of data, I think, to make a long-termish chip strategy. And I do think people looking to make transfers, before you make transfers, I think you should at least have a very rough idea on when you plan to do a wild card or a free hit, because we're in game week 5 now, and we have 11 more game weeks left, or 12 more game weeks left till your chips reset, right? So in 12 weeks you have to play like 4 chips. So you should have a rough idea in your head. Two paths that I think make sense in terms of, and I do personally do think that wildcard is the most important chip. Bench boost and triple captain are the least important chips, and free hit,
Yeah.
um, free hit is decently important. But I think you should plan around your wildcard, like when do you plan to wildcard, and the rest of the chips should fall accordingly. That's kind of what I would recommend. So one path that I see is game week 6 or game week 8 as a wildcard window. So as you see in this fixture, from game week 6 onwards, these are the top 4 teams in terms of expected goals. Uh, Looking at a longer horizon, so this total is like till game week 18. So you see Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea come out on top. Uh, mm, Takes no genius to say Haaland is in back in the form of his peak form. Basically, he will play all games. He is nailed. Marmoush is also injured. His fitness is good. Not many people have Man City assets. Apart from Reinders, I don't think many people have any Man City asset. So like apart from obviously Reinders and Haaland are the two core assets, I think. If you're looking for a short-term punt, Doku could be one, but I personally wouldn't go there. The point being, from game week 6, these 4 teams have good fixtures, and not many people have Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Chelsea assets. So you might have one asset from Chelsea, one from Liverpool, like Salah, or one from Arsenal. You need to have some of them. Some from each team is the point. So if you want to target these fixtures, game week 6 wildcard becomes an obvious route in which you can just get Haaland in, and you can plan your team accordingly if you want Haaland plus Salah, or if you want Haaland plus Isak and Gyökeres or Palmer. So you do have a lot of premiums and budget options available. But so wildcard 6 would mean next week you hit your wildcard, and then bench boost and free hit. I do think you can play that whenever you feel like it, because bench boost, whichever week you feel like your bench is nailed and has decent enough fixtures, just play your bench boost. Don't plan around your bench boost. Don't use too many transfers for bench boost. That would be my suggestion. We do expect a potential blank or a double around game week 16, depending on if Crystal Palace gets to the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup. Uh, so if that happens, there is a small potential that we might see 2 teams blanking or doubling. But again, I wouldn't recommend planning your chips according to that blank or double, because it's such a long term horizon and there's so many probabilities involved. Just play whenever you feel like your bench is strong, and free hit you can literally play whenever you feel like you have injuries or the fixtures look good for players who you don't have. So don't plan too much for bench boost and free hit. Or you can also bench boost during AFCON when the Salah is out. You have a lot of money to spread around your team, and so uh, you can have a solid bench there. That's path one, I think. Game week 6 onwards, you hit your wild card. Path two is you decide to hit your wild card in game week 13. And why I say game week 13, let me go back to the fixture ticker. So in game week 13, basically our Liverpool and City both have really good fixtures. So Liverpool have West Ham, Sunderland, Leeds, and then Man City has Leeds, Fulham, Sunderland. 2 relegation teams in 3 weeks, and then even in the decent fixtures after this, which the image doesn't cover. So the next wildcard window is potentially game week 13, where you can get Haaland plus Salah, and then you can plan around that. The only problem that this path 2 then presents is not having Haaland in game week 6, where Haaland plays Burnley at home. In that case, I do think that Haaland, you should have Haaland. Like going against Haaland in that week would be very risky in terms of his ownership will be high and he's in his form and it's at home. Um, so you could potentially either use your transfers or free hit in game week 6. Only use your transfers to get Haaland if you plan to hold him, not just for game week 6, but for like the next few game weeks. But if you just want Haaland for game week 6, you can plan your free hit around game week 6. And the rest, bench boost and free hit, the strategy remains the same, which I mentioned.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the same. Yeah.
Essen, what is your chip planning, and any insights?
I think I would probably use my wildcard in game week 8. It's the international break, so I would have all the injury news and minutes, etc. I think that's a good window. And for Haaland, I'll probably use my free hit in game week 6 because if you show the fixtures for game week 6, apart from the City, I think there are other decent games also where I can load up on maybe double up or triple up on players. For example, game week 6, you have City against Burnley, Chelsea plays Brighton, Nottingham Forest has Sunderland, Bournemouth has Leeds,
Oh yeah,
and Tottenham has Wolves. So there are
yep,
5 or 6 good fixtures to choose from. For example, if I'm going with an 11 and I have 3 City against Burnley, so I have 8 spots for and around 4 or 5 more good fixtures. So I think a free hit 6 would be a good shout. Get it done with wildcard in game week 8. Then I would probably just have my bench boost and triple captain left. Bench boost, maybe I can do it in game week 9 or 10, having just wildcarded and get it out the way also. Because, like you said, bench boost and triple captain are the chips which are mostly down to luck, as opposed to wildcard, which is the most important. It takes a lot of planning, and even though free hit is or has a lot of luck involved, but you know what fixtures you are getting when you are triggering that free hit. So again, that also takes some planning.
yep.
So I think
I
that's
think
also
that's
a good
a
strategy.
sound plan. That's a sound plan. Free hit 6,
Yeah,
you get Semenyo, you get triple City, you get some Spurs attacker. Nobody would have these players, right? Like not a lot of people have
yeah,
Spurs attackers or triple City. So free hit 6 and then wildcard 8 makes a lot of sense. And so yeah, moving ahead, like I personally am on path 1, and let's get into my wildcard. So why did I wildcard in game week 5 and not 6? Um, Number one, I want to triple captain Haaland in game week 6. That is the plan. That is why I didn't
yeah,
trigger my
yeah.
wildcard in game week
Very fair.
6, and hence I did in game week 5. I don't think triggering it 1 week earlier is harmful or hurtful. Yes, I miss out on some of the information that might come in 1 week later, but I do think like Haaland is nailed right now. His fitness is ideal. His form is ideal. He's playing Burnley at home. Uh, Probably the time to play it would be now. Um, as you move ahead towards the Christmas period, they do have obviously they have Sunderland and they also play Leeds, so you can also play when Salah or Haaland play those teams. But when you comes to come closer to Christmas period, there are so many fixtures happening. You can't really predict minutes, and so I wanna honestly get it done. And honestly, if it doesn't work out, doesn't work out. Triple captain is not that crazy. But yeah, so I did want to target that fixture, and I wildcarded in 5. All right, on the left is my current team before wildcard, and on the right is my wildcard team. Uh, it was not a panic wildcard because my team is not the worst, but I think it's structurally I disagree with the players I own, most of them at the least. So Sanchez, I want to live Arsenal defender. I can't afford Gabriel or anyone according to the structure I have in mind. So I had to make a goalkeeper transfer, and the fact that Sanchez now might be rotated as well, it just makes sense and makes my decision easier. Anderson, out of my defense, Anderson is the only player I want to hold. So Anderson remains, but Milinkovic, we got for his defenders for DefCon, they're not hitting DefCons, they're not getting clean sheets, their managers changed. So Milinkovic, I want to get rid of them. Him, Pedro Porro also is a minute's risk now because Udogi is also back, and according to the Spurs fans I have been reading about, reading from, they think that Porro is not the best Spurs defender to own. It's Van de Ven or Romero now, and they also are cheaper. So that's what the Spurs community has been sharing. So he also had to go, and then Dorgu on SDev as well. As Dorgu is also a minute's risk. As soon as Dalo comes back, he might get back on the bench. So now on my wild card, I am going purely with 90-minute DefCon guys. As you see, the most expensive defender for me is Lacroix um, at 5.0. So Lacroix, Senesi, Anderson, all three of them have hit in even like my fourth and fifth defender are 4.0 defenders. So Igdal from Burnley and then Alderete from Sunderland. All of them are the best DefCon defenders that in the game, and all of them play 90 minutes every single game. So I think defense, I will keep it as is. If one defender gets injured, I play the other one. It doesn't matter. This should not change in the long term, and Raya should cover my Arsenal defense. I don't have a Liverpool defender, and I'm okay with that because Liverpool, as we saw, are not keeping clean sheets as much. Van Dijk is the only DefCon player from that team, and Van Dijk is 6.1. And in my structure, I didn't want to keep a 6.1 defender. Moving on, like again, my midfield, apart from Bruno and Salah, I did not want to keep anyone else. So I have Salah, Bruno, and then Caicedo, Paqueta, and Rinders. Caicedo is the one I might hold, I might not. But Caicedo again, a 90-minute guy, hits DefCon every game. So his floor is every single game he should get 4 points. He's getting more DefCon than defenders. So every single game I'm expecting Caicedo to be on my bench. If he needs to be in my starting 11, he gets 4 points. And then random here and there, once in 5 games, we might see a assist or a goal come in as he scored in the last game as well. Paqueta, same 90-minute guy on penalties as well. Uh, and if West Ham play four at the back, he's playing number 10. So as 5.9 million, a 90-minute guy on penalties and the captain as well. I do think he is a steal at his price. Although West Ham overall are shit, but they have been improving the last 2 games. So one to look out for. I think Bruno and Paqueta are very similar assets in terms of what they offer: 90 minutes, DefCon contributions, penalties, captains. So I'm happy to own both of them. Reindeers I have for at least the next couple of fixtures that City have good fixtures. I will assess if he needs to be moved on, but this is the only position that I don't plan to hold for a long term. He might stay for 3-4 weeks and then we reassess. Till for like in the midfield and defense, as in any suggestions, any player you think I should not have or I should must have?
No, I think with your defenders, your goalkeeper, and even your bench, I think it's pretty decent. You have targeted fixtures over the long term. You have targeted players which are nailed because I think apart from Bournemouth and Fulham, Arsenal are involved in European fixtures. So is Palace. So it's good that you have those options covered. Similarly, in your midfield, I personally am not a fan of Paqueta so much. I understand why you have him, but he has hardly been an FPL asset to consider, even when West Ham have been playing well over the years, not just now. I understand he is the focal point now because Bowen has been categorized as an attacker as opposed to a mid. So I understand why you have him 5.9, the odd goal, the odd penalty. He plays for the badge, so maybe he can get that extra 2 pointer DefCon also every now and then. Reinders, I think, is a very good pick, but with City, you being a fan, you just know that apart from Haaland, everyone else is a minute's risk. So I understand why you have him. And Caicedo, I think for this game, you can play him over Paqueta. And I'm not sure if this is your actual team or you've just benched him. And
No, I
he
do.
is a DefCon.
I did plan to bench him, but I was not an. It's not an easy decision. So I was contemplating Paqueta over Caicedo, and also like Paqueta could be Dewsbury Hall. I have one more day to think about it, so I will consider what you
Yeah,
said, and
I
I'll
think
see
you
some of
save
the
that
stats too.
extra point.
Yeah.
You can use the extra zero point 0.9 or zero point 0.8 if you do Paqueta to KDH, and maybe down the road if you want a Liverpool defending. Remember that game week 13 we talked about. You can get
Mhm.
maybe the likes of Konate or Van Dijk, and you have money in the bank for that. But I think Haaland, Joao Pedro, Thiago. I know why you have Thiago. He's playing striker. He is on penalties, and Brentford I think do have a mixed bag of fixtures also. So I understand. But for example, if you do Paqueta down to KDH, you can use the funds to maybe upgrade Thiago to I don't know
Strand Larson.
Wood for
Strand
2 weeks.
Larson. I think Strand Larson
Send
would be the
Larson.
only one I could afford if he gets fit. So yeah, that I can. I think yeah,
Yeah,
Paqueta
the
down.
down the road, yeah, maybe you can do that for sure. Or maybe you can Tado down to KDH and you can keep Paqueta also. So you can get both the players you want and use the
Mm,
funds for Thiago because you said Caicedo also is not a lock right now. So do you
yeah.
have a day and another day to consider it and just see maybe use the FPL team app to plan ahead and get those good fixtures.
All right. Good ideas. One big strategy question I have, and like very quickly, if you can give your suggestion. So I could do Salah and Thiago. I could replace Salah and Thiago with Palmer and Isak. So that's one of the biggest dilemmas I have. Obviously,
I
Salah
think
and
yeah,
Thiago both are 90-minute penalty guys. Palmer is also 90-minute penalty, but Isak's minutes are minutes and then non-penalty. So what do you think? Which combination do you prefer and why?
ideally, if Isak was, in Liverpool's team from the start, then he would have been a no-brainer. But given that his minutes are a risk, and Liverpool's fixtures, I think they are heading towards more of a mixed bag right now, as opposed to they had an easy set of fixtures in the start. So maybe you can try Palmer and Ekitike if you want that Palmer cover and a Liverpool cover also because. Isak and Ekitike both will either be sharing 30, 60, 40, 50 each game. And depending on the game, 40, 50 minutes for each is enough, knowing that they are being supplied by the likes of Gakpo, Salah, their midfield. So, that's enough to make an impact. But obviously, if you're spending around 8-ish million for Ekitike and more than 10 million, you would want your players to play at least 60, 70 minutes. So maybe just for the safety of minutes, Salah and Thiago at the moment seems like a better. But in terms of explosiveness and FPL pedigree, Palmer and Isak is a no-brainer.
Palmer, that's the only big issue with my team is not having Palmer, and I don't know how to make that happen. I could downgrade João Pedro to like a very shitty asset and then upgrade Bruno to Palmer, but I also want to keep Bruno. So yeah, Palmer is my only headache, but apart from that, I think the wild card looks good, and the discussion we had, I'll take all of those points into account. Thank you for that. That was a good
Yes.
discussion. All right, really quick on Eagles Eye. For game week 5, I my Eagles Eye, like I've just written Sunderland Burnley defense. I do back this. Even Aston Villa is playing against Sunderland. People are playing Aston Villa, but I've looked at Sunderland stats. They do look decent. So I
Yeah, at
think
home, yes.
exactly
And
at
even
home they're
Burnley gave tough time to Liverpool. They almost, squeezed a draw out of the match. So yeah, not to be taken
exactly.
lightly.
Yeah, and if they set up like they did, like if they park the bus, it could be a good game for Burnley defenders.
Yeah, I think got an assist in the game he played, and Barnes also was very lively in the UCL game because I think I'm not sure. Maybe Gordon is still out, suspended. So I think
Gordon,
Barnes can
yeah, I think
3 games.
Premier League. Yeah, yeah, one
Yeah,
game left.
maybe one more game for the Premier League. So Barnes playing on the left, Elanga slash Murphy on the right, and Woltemade up top. So I think Barnes is a good shout.
Yeah. Gordon scored in the UCL game last night against
Yes.
Barcelona.
Yes.
Moving on to captaincy. So on the right, you see Fantasy Football Hub points predictor, which takes into account the underlying data of the players this season. And then on the left, you see market odds, like the goal predictions by the market odds projected by shared by Rob T on Twitter. So Salah, Watkins, Semenyo, Haaland, Bruno. These are the top five predicted by Fantasy Football Hub, while the markets project Salah and Gyökeres having the same projected goal. So it's a weird one, honestly. So Salah is playing Everton at home and he's expected to score 0.55 goals, and Gyökeres is playing City at home. He's expected to score the same amount of
Yeah.
goals as Salah. So it's a
Doesn't add.
shocker to me, to be honest. It doesn't make sense to me. Um, but that's what the markets project. These might get updated closer to the deadline. So this is as updated as 18th September, which is yesterday. In short, your top two or top three picks for captaincy, SN.
Salah would be number one. Palmer is a very good shout. He is playing on Sunday. He has an extra day off. He's playing against United, which can be a very high scoring game. And I think third, I wouldn't go for Semenyo because Newcastle's defense is very good. You can maybe, if you have the likes of Wood or Mateta, I think they're a very good shout. Both are on penalties. Both are, focal points of their team. So maybe Salah, Palmer, and an outside shout for Wood and Mateta. No disrespect to Haaland, but Arsenal's defense has and is very good. So would not really back him. Obviously, he can haul. His aerial threat, his presence is obviously unmatched. But Salah for the safe pick, even though he has the early kickoff, Palmer can be a good shout, and and the likes of Woods and Mateta can be, an outside shout.
One quick fact to note would be Gyökeres and Wood both have been getting 60, 70-minute substitution in the last few games. So that's one thing to look out for. For me, again, like Salah is no doubt number one, and Palmer for me is number two. In fact, if I have Palmer, I might captain Palmer over Salah this week. If you like, depending on your risk appetite, obviously, but Palmer against United, I think he'll have a good day. So yeah, lastly, S and your team and your transfer plans.
Yeah, I think I wasn't really thinking about it so much, but seeing the Sanchez news you posted earlier, and seeing that Palmer was back against Brentford, he scored against Bayern. He looks very good. So I was thinking of doing Rogers to Palmer, and obviously I would have four assets, so naturally I have to take out Sanchez. So I was thinking of doing to Vicario. Spurs have very good fixtures until game week 8, where I plan to use my wildcard. Like they have good fixtures in 5, 6, 7. So he can be a good shout for for the coming weeks. And Rogers to Palmer would enable me to get Palmer, maybe captain him, and take out one Villa asset in the process also.
Yeah,
So currently on this right now, and captaincy would be between Palmer and Salah, leaning towards Palmer just because of the fact that Salah has an early kickoff, and Palmer can hopefully do well against United.
yeah. No, that's a good plan. Spurs, especially defensively, have been so good, and doubling up on their
Yeah.
defense is not a bad idea at all. Their fixtures are also good. Their fixtures are good in the next four, five. So that's good. The only problem I have is like not having an Arsenal defender, and maybe you get an Arsenal defender 1 or 2 weeks later, so that should be fine.
Yep, Milinkovic is actually like the cash cow for maybe the likes of Gabriel or Saliba or Mosquera, whatever. He's at 5.5, and I do have money in the bank even after making these two moves. So I can obviously use a free transfer and get an Arsenal defender when the fixtures start to turn.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And then you're free hitting in six, so you'll have Haaland regardless. Cool. Perfect.
Yeah.
All
Yes.
right. That is all for today. If you have been watching us and if you're still here, we would
A lot to
appreciate a like,
cover
like
and
and
digest.
subscribe. Yeah, we spent a lot of time preparing this. Obviously, a lot of data, a lot of information to gather around from different sources. So Would appreciate and like and subscribe. And yeah, good luck with your game week 5.
Good luck all.